this year shows that the interest in localization has massively increased. With COVID now, with the war in Ukraine, more and more people, even at the level of the Financial Times and Wall Street Journal, they're beginning to question a little bit the vulnerability of global supply chains. So there is definitely a huge shift in awareness. But I think we urgently need to get this bigger picture out that links the tragedy of epidemics of depression, of financial, economic insecurity worldwide to the rapid destruction of the environment, the rapid destruction of life itself. It's all as a consequence of a techno-economic system that has become more and more powerful, particularly now through the use of algorithms and huge techno systems, something that we really need to discuss a lot. So we are in a situation now where vastly less than 1% are winners and much more than 99% are losers. So it's high time that we get the wake up and the sort of mass movement, a movement of movements where we come together and say enough is enough. We've got to shift the direction of what we call progress, of what we call growth, to support genuine growth, the growth of ecosystems and healthy human societies, healthy individuals. And we feel we're offering a very clear picture that I hope people will delve into, and that it will help to bring together people who are until now working more on single issues, on human well-being versus ecological well-being versus restoring democracy, or just focus on climate. All of this narrow perspective can be linked to this demand for a systemic shift.
Indeed, and I'm curious to know what you think are the biggest opportunities in 2022. Where do you see the chances to grow the movement, and where people can get involved, particularly in some of the developed part of the world, the UK, US, other parts of Europe?
Well, I'm seeing that the crises, particularly now with COVID itself, but then also the various climate emergencies, have led to an experience of the vital importance of local community relationships. Absolutely essential. They become, it's raised awareness very, very rapidly. And I just think the opportunities are, I think, to use these technologies of mass communication as much as we can to help people to see more clearly how their voice and their action can support a systemic change in support of life, to enable the reconnection, the inner reconnection, as we are once again finding who we really are. It's to do with balancing the brain between left and right. At every level, it's about reconnection, and that understanding of the incredible benefits for personal health, for personal happiness, and the healing of the planet. That path of reconnection. I think people are sometimes not clear about what the ideas that are being fed to them, the narratives that are being fed to them around how do we deal with climate change, for instance, the focus on carbon. Now regenerative agriculture has been pushed out there as a way of dealing with food security, and many really well-intentioned people who are actively involved, as now George is with his food project and permaculture movements, transition movement. They're doing wonderful work to restore ecosystems and increase productivity. But by giving the label regenerative, they're giving an alibi to Unilever, Monsanto, and giant corporations who have been pushing that term to keep our perspective narrow, to not focus on the system, the trajectory from the seed to the table. And as George will say, I'm back again with the composting. So without that systemic view, we end up using a single label to do with the mode of production. And we end up, as I say, giving alibi to giant corporations and actually strengthening a trajectory that simultaneously reduces productivity and yields while increasing not only pollution, but the sale of products, processed food, high fructose corn syrup, trans fats, that are now very clearly leading to an epidemic of ill health, heart disease, diabetes, etc. So the language, the view, the perspective, we need that holistic view. And that's where the opportunity is. As we put out the big picture, that's where we can catalyze and bring people together who are in large numbers. The majority want change. They feel it. They know we need fundamental change. And they are so ready for a vision that can help them link hands with others, as opposed to what the dominant narrative is doing, which is using very effective algorithms to separate and polarize us. As we've seen in the social media, it is lucrative to encourage not only polarization, but nasty, really divisiveness and violence, verbal violence, but also linked to physical violence. That is lucrative. And if we don't wake up to the bigger picture that connects, we're going to be caught up in this prison of ideas that divide us.